Thanks.
Okay, just let me know, because then I'll have to.
No idea. I just think if you file it, you could potentially get tax credit. Whatever those
I
are.
know it's easy, I'm just asking, I just have to ask, because when I look at the numbers for.
Well, but if you have
Still on the
the
shelf,
document,
it's like,
then we're going to go somewhere and say, let me see. I know. Not going to put any of the. No, you don't. I think it's a dark that gets.
So we got Michael supposed to be zooming in again. Michael joined from the health department, so
Yes, sir.
hopefully he's on there.
It'll be up and ready for him.
Okay.
it's probably gonna show tomorrow, so I, if you want, Sherry came in this morning and left, send that.
One minute.
Oh, all right. Okay, no, that's.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting this Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. The public is encouraged and welcome to address the school board at the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card in the back and turn it in to our assistant, Kathy Tompkins, at the front. And we will call you at the appropriate time to speak. Today, we are honored to have the Venice High School Marine Corps JROTC under the direction of Frank Troxel, Master Gunnery Sergeant, with the flag salute. Please stand. We have our Venice High School student, Jack Irwin, here from senior Venice High. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Frank Troxel, Master Gunnery Sergeant in the Venice High School Marine Corps JORTC. Today, our student representative is Jack Irwin, Venice High School, and he had to come racing in here because he was stuck in traffic accident down in Venice, but was able to get here just in the nick of time. Welcome, Jack, and it's nice for you to join us as a student representative. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, if you've caught your breath yet? Oh, please push the button on your mic so the little light goes on.
Already,
There you
better?
go.
Okay. So currently I am the student body treasurer within Venice High School, and I account for all of the money and transactions within all of the different grades and classes, and yeah, that's basically it. This,
I don't know if you had time to even think about this, the character squad, civility squad character trait for February and how it affects you. Do you know what it is? Do you have it?
No, I do not.
Well, we only have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, the better to hear everyone out. If not on that, perhaps you could talk about what you plan to do after school.
Oh, of course. So the civility squad, one of the biggest things being a student leader at our school is listening to the students and what they have to say. And especially listening to the grievances and issues, especially with the COVID pandemic happening right now. And one of the biggest issues has been trying to follow both CDC regulations and following school regulations so everyone can be safe, but all at the same time hearing the students. It's been one of the biggest things, and especially after school too, and enforcing what a good leader should be and representing what a good leader should be within the student body.
Thank you. Have you made any plans yet for after school?
Oh, after school? After this, I have work. Yes.
Okay, thanks. We have a certificate of appreciation we'd like to give you, Jack, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And special presentations this afternoon. We'd like to invite Sue Meckler and Rob Madigan to approach the podium.
The mic is on?
Yep.
All right. So thank you for having us this afternoon. We are here to share with you our 2021 K-12 English Language Arts adoption process. And most of all, we want to recognize the efforts that our teachers put into place to make this adoption happen and for us to be able to select the very best instruction materials for our students and our teachers.
The evaluation and adoption of textbooks is one of the most important tasks a school district undertakes. It is at least a 5-year commitment involving extraordinary amounts of time, energy, and yes, finances. However, the investment means that our students will be immersed in standards-aligned, rigorous content that has been evaluated at every level and from every lens. For veteran teachers, a new textbook may serve as just one tool of instruction, but for new teachers, a new textbook may serve as the foundation for their daily instruction as they hone their craft. It is for these reasons Sarasota County Schools works diligently to select and provide the high-quality materials for all students and all teachers.
With everything else that has come along with education in 2020, we have had over 170 teachers, staff, curriculum specialists, and community members who put forth a concerted effort to select the best possible instructional programs for all students and teachers in Sarasota County.
To acknowledge those teachers and staff members, this is the complete list of all those that participated as committee members, and this is not even the entire list of teachers that participated in the review of those materials at school sites across the district.
We also want to recognize the district team. From a deep dive into the materials, looking at standards and content, to the narrowed focus of digital implementation and support for unique learners, each of these team members played a vital role in supporting our committees in making this important decision. We had representation from IT, ELL, ESE gifted, and then of course our program specialists at each level.
In addition, a special thank you goes out to our community members. At elementary, Kelly Maldonado, representing the Van Wezel. At middle school, Deb Schultz, who is a retired Sarasota County teacher. And at high school, Andrea Dichter, who is the Youth Services Coordinator for the Sarasota County Libraries. Just wanted to give them a special shout out.
So part of the process begins with the curriculum teams. They were the first ones to look at the submissions for adoption. They dedicated long hours to ensure that even before we officially began the adoption process, that the materials were not only aligned to the new state standards, but matched the mission and goals of Sarasota County Schools.
Our district teams bring a laser focus to the evaluation of materials that we're considering for adoption. They evaluate the materials with their specialized backgrounds at the forefront and are tasked with serving as a resource for the adoption committees in the areas of ESE, gifted, technology, and English language learners.
Each school also had a lead committee member. The school-based committee's lead member were identified and had responsibilities above and beyond general committee members. They were the lead for their committees and included support of all teachers at their schools.
And although the curriculum directors received quite a bit of feedback on the process, I thought I would share with you just a little bit. Great job organizing all of this information. We know this is no easy task. The team was amazingly prepared and supportive. You are so professional. Thanks for guiding us. I'm so happy with how our teachers countywide collaborate and make decisions together.
And so we present to you our recommendations for adoption. The following publisher series were selected by the various committees as the best possible instructional tool for K-12 English Language Arts for the adoption period 2021 to 2026. At elementary, Benchmark Education, K through 5. At middle school, McGraw-Hill Study Sync, which will be used materials 6 through 9. And Savas My Perspectives for high school, grades 9 through 12. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments? Ms. Goodwin?
Well, I know that this is no small job, and to think that you had everybody aligned and that it worked well, which is what I'm hearing it did. I just want to say thank you, Rob. Thank you for your leadership, because I know that this was a really hard task. And Sue, you've always been doing an admirable job when it came to curriculum, but this sort of takes that above to a different level. Were there any things or any takeaways that you learned from this that you will take into the next time that you make?
So Rob and I have debriefed a little bit, and really this forced us into a virtual situation for the first time. And we learned the power that could happen from that virtual ability for the teachers to collaborate, allowing teachers to go home, Zoom in from the comfort of their home, not spend 3 additional hours here late at night, grab something to eat. There were lots of pieces of that we will replicate as we move into math next year.
Great.
Even though we may hopefully are past the COVID situation.
Well, thank you again.
Absolutely.
Dr. Asplin?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for all your work. I know it is a time-consuming, lots of work, especially with all the committees and all the people who you engaged in the process, including parents and teachers and so forth. So thank you for all of that. I know if board approved today, then it will be placed back out for the community to view again. And then I believe it's April 1st when you must send our selections to the Department of Education. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment too. I'd like to make sure that we have a follow-up on this a year after we get the books and we've used them. What do the teachers think of them and how they've used them? I remember, not in the present time, but several years ago, walking down the halls at the end of the year in an elementary school and just stacks and stacks of, I think they were math workbooks that were being thrown out because they weren't used, because they were in a book and they had to be torn out. And the teacher said they did not have the time to tear those pages out every week for the lessons. And I complained about it, and I said, well, it was I think as 100,000 more per school for the ones that were already torn out or single pages or something like that. So, or if somebody has stacks of books over there and they don't use them, I'd like to have a follow-up on to see how did they use them. And now that you've had the teachers part of it, but have a feedback a year after, how well have they been used and how have they been, are they doing what we expected them to do? And Dr. Brennan, maybe you could point to that we were talking about this morning and when we were doing our budget, how much are these going to be costing us versus how much we're getting from the state for these and how we're required to get these because of the new standards.
So Ms. Corcoran, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's around $4 million for the materials, a little bit higher than that.
I'm sorry, 7.5 total with 3.5 funding from the state.
So she said the total cost is $7.5 million, and the state is giving us $3.5 million, and local funds are having to pay the $4 million difference.
And Mrs. Brown, as you asked for a week or so ago, we do have the budget prepared to share at the workshop on March 2nd that explains how those expenses roll out. And again, the cost differential from our last adoption to this one.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate how you're reaching out. We have one more comment from Ms. Rose.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for all the work you do. I know what a challenge it is, and you've been successful in pulling everyone, including the community, together. I just want to clarify for the public that our adoptions are from an approved list of the Florida Department of Education that we're choosing from. Is that correct?
Yes,
Address that.
that is
Yes.
correct. I will make note that due to the timeline in the current environment, the state is still undergoing their evaluation of materials in a final list. However, our initial list was gleaned from the submissions that were given to the state.
So I think that's important for the public to know that our materials have to be approved by the state of Florida Department of Education before we're adopting and choosing them, and they're aligned to our curriculum standards. And just out of curiosity, in the digital component or any of the literary materials, are there any options for other languages besides English?
So each of the publishers does have that as a possibility, especially for sharing with our parents. Obviously, we don't consider ourselves a bilingual district in that we teach in English.
Right.
However, there are materials that parents will be able to access in various languages.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And thank you for the work you've done.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Brennan?
Yes, our next presenter will be Mr. Dumas.
Dr. Asplund, thank you very much, and good afternoon, board members. I appreciate this moment. Once a month, Dr. Asplund has asked me to come and give a construction project update. And so over the course of the last couple months, you've seen Pineview a couple times and Inglewood Elementary. I'm going to give more of a department update today. And so with that, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Ms. Jane Dreger. Come on up, Jane. So as you know, our current director of construction services, Paul Pitcher, who's done a wonderful job, is sliding into retirement. And so we had a vacancy which we posted for, and we had a number of great applicants for that position. But when I saw Jane, I think she set herself apart. Jane comes to us from Manatee County School. She's been the director of construction here for over 19 years, I believe. And I know she's done a great job over there doing a lot of building. But she comes to us with a background right out of school in construction services in that industry. And she is a Florida certified general contractor. So her resume was far and above what we had hoped to even get applied for the position. So we were very, very happy. And then I have not met Jane over the years, and I had not had that opportunity previously, but just in the interview and then meeting her these couple of times as she starts to transition in, she's just a great person and a real team player. And, when she sat down with her staff, first and foremost, she first asked, well, what can I do for you? And so not only bringing the expertise, but really a team building approach in construction services. So I am super excited to have Jane with us. And so with that, I'll ask Jane to just say a couple words.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Asplund, board members, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Jody speaks so highly of me, I don't know really what to say after that. And choosing curriculum is far more important than introducing a construction director. So I know you all have your plates full of business, but I am a team player. I am from this community. I went to high school here, and my husband went to high school here. We celebrate 30 years this June. We have 2 grown children. I got my degree in building construction from the University of Florida in 1990. And for 13 years, I worked for a large construction company. And then when I had children, I started with Manatee County to be local, to not have to travel anymore for work. And so the most exciting, wonderful thing that I do is when we get to go out to classrooms and students ask me what I do, and I say I build schools. And they say, you don't look like somebody who builds schools. And I say, that's where the learning comes. But I'm really glad to be here. This is only my 4th day, so I'm really trying to get my arms around workload and who's doing what and learning the systems. And hopefully next month we'll be able to come back and give you some great updates on projects.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Jane Goodwin?
Well, I won't forget your name. I love the name. But I knew about you before you arrived. I have a little bit of a background in construction. Of course, love the University of Florida, know what a great program that is. Very selective. They don't take everybody that wants to get into that program. It's very, very selective, as architecture is. And I know the great thing that you have done for our neighbors and our good friends, Manatee County. But, I hate that I have to have this conversation, but there aren't that many women in construction still. When I started in construction, there was less than 2%, and I think there's probably now around 3 or 4% in construction that are women. So yay-hoo for you. Welcome. I'm going to be out in your area at your office later this week, and I'll either make arrangements to come by and visit with you or say something to you at that time. But welcome. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
Well, if I could butt in, as long as we're introducing new faces, some of you have maybe noticed that we have a new face up here at the board table, and that is our new attorney here representing us, Patrick Duggan. Is it Duggan? Dugan.
It's Duggan.
Duggan. See, she was telling me Dugan. I was saying Duggan. Welcome, and we'll look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much.
I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have our communications chief, Craig Maniglia, who will give us communications department presentation.
Good afternoon, school board members, Dr. Asplin, Mr. Duggan, congratulations and welcome aboard, Mr. Irvin. Today, we'd like to show you a little bit of what's going on in communications, but on top of that, I also would like to show you a video that we just did not too long ago. You gotta set this back up.
You ready?
No. It's not ready yet. Don't play it yet. So on Saturday, February 6th, we went out to celebrate Miss Dorothy Smith, who was the first post-desegregation African-American to ever become a principal in Sarasota. So it was quite an honor to be there. School board chair Shirley Brown was there. Mr. Edwards was there. Of course, our superintendent. We had a lot of people from the community there to celebrate this. We had executive principal, Chris Renoff was there, and a few others. I didn't write them down so I don't forget people, but there was a lot of people from the community and the school system there. So Mrs. Smith, what we did there is we unveiled a bronze statue for Mrs. Smith in conjunction with Newtown Alive in the school system, and it will forever adorn the side of that building. It will be part of the Newtown Alive trolley tour going forward. And while we captured the entire hour ceremony, I thought it'd be good today to share with the school board members who couldn't be there a little snippet about what happened. So we'll start there.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor to begin today's celebration and commemoration of Mrs. Dorothy Smith.
We're here today to celebrate and to recognize Miss Dorothy Smith, our school district's first African-American principal of a district post-segregation. Now more than ever, it's crucial for our community to know, recognize, and appreciate all its history. This includes the tremendous contributions of our Afro-American teachers, our school-based leaders, and district leaders.
You all have a teacher that made a difference in your life. Mrs. Smith was that teacher for me. She and other teachers like her did things to prepare us to live not only in Newtown, but in the world. That's the type of teacher that Mrs. Smith was. And I love her today for that.
She was an educator who provided a high-quality education with the utmost integrity, making a positive difference in the lives and futures of her students. This beautiful plaque marks her legacy in the history of our local community, our school district, and especially Southside Elementary School.
I'm going out to visit her tomorrow to let her know her story is alive and well and in good hands. Thank you.
So it was quite an honor for me and my team to be able to do that, and being new to the area, to see the rich heritage here is just fabulous. So this will also be shared with Newtown Alive later today, and it'll go out social media, and we'll get a lot of airtime out of this. So that was the first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing is Dr. Asplin on the Move. Many of you have seen these and heard about these, but if you haven't, I'm going to play one for you today. I'm going to play the latest one for you, which was Fruitville. So I thought I'd share some stuff, some facts about Dr. Asplin on the Move. which you may not know. Since we started this, maybe a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago, we've had over 140,000 views of these videos. So that is an astronomical number. We're averaging about 7,000 views per school, per site. One school, Oak Park, hit, I think, 15 or 17,000. But all the other ones are hugging in around 7,000, which is pretty amazing when you think about someone watching a school video about a classroom. So what these videos are doing for us as a school district and our community is allowing our parents and our teachers and our students to see what's happening at other schools. It's allowing us to see our new superintendent. It's a way to introduce him to these people where you can't be everywhere at one place. It's actually helping with bringing kids back to school because they're seeing peers in there and they're seeing how safe it is. It is giving parents the opportunity to see, well, maybe I want to go to McIntosh or maybe I want to go here. I can see that it's safe. I see they have a cool program. So all in all, it's been a very big success. Thanks in most part to Dr. Asplin for being just who he is. Very calm, very passionate about education, and roll the sleeves up and get in there and work. So what I'd like to do now is play you the latest Fruitville one that aired on Friday.
Good morning, Dr. Asplin.
Good morning, Mr. French. How are you?
Welcome to Fruitville. We're happy to have you here, home of the Pirates.
Yes.
Got some great things to show you today. Can't wait to get started.
Sounds good. Let's get started.
All right. I don't know how much you know about Fruitville, but originally plans started in 1937. So the original building was built in 1941.
Wow.
So this year will be the 80th year.
Yes.
It is a very unique campus. From the road, you wouldn't know how big we are. It goes pretty far back.
Yeah.
Like I said, we started that original, and then we kind of went from there. We're going to Miss Johnson's kindergarten class. She's our teacher of the year.
Oh, wow.
It is an outstanding learning environment for our littlest pirates.
Oh, that's excellent. Here we go. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So what are you all working on here?
We are doing a guided reading group. We are focusing on just using reading strategies to build fluency. And right now they are reading independently. Some of these friends are from the classroom next door.
Right.
And some of them are not. So
I see.
I do all the reading groups.
Yes.
She does the skills group. And so we're able to work with more students in a small group.
That's great.
We're really able to meet their needs.
Yes.
And be very intentional with our teaching.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you all plan together?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And we look at the data daily to form groups.
I see.
And really hit the needs of what they need based on the data we collect.
That's excellent. Let me give you an elbow for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
That's really good. Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
What are you working on?
I'm working on being fluent.
Being fluent. Oh, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah. Hello. You guys having a good day? Good day today? Yeah? Good to see you. All right.
So one of the things you're also going to see today is you're going to see kids wearing shirts, and they're all different colors. It's part of our Fruitville fleet. It's kind of mirrored after the Harry Potter house system. So we have 10 different ships.
I see.
So every single color is a gemstone, and each ship then meets once a week. We did when we could meet once a week, and they do activities related to our core values.
So that program is really all about the character traits and your value system that you have here at school.
Yes, that's how they earn the points. So it's all of those character traits and values and being responsible, respectful, and resourceful learners and what they do every single day. If they follow those rules and expectations, they earn points not only for themselves, but for their ships.
All of us have a nice level 0 for our conversation level, so I'd like to give all of us a point as well. So nice job following our champs' expectations.
All right. That's great. Very good. I noticed that you have students with the same color shirts across K to 5.
That was one of the things that we wanted. We wanted it to be K through 5, so those students would work with multiple different students. And once you're that color and that ship, you're that ship for life here at Fruitville. So you're citrine. Every year you get a new citrine shirt, but you're citrine in kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade as you graduate. So that's great. Miss Robinson, and I know this is kind of off the cuff, she is actually who brought this system to our school.
Oh, is that right?
All really the credit really goes to her.
Okay, I have to say, it's an awesome system. And you know how you go around to classrooms and you're thinking, oh, you know, when I was a teacher, I wish I had done that. When I was a principal, I wish I had had this program. It was a very good idea.
Where we're headed next is one of my favorite classrooms. Fruitville has a cluster of students with autism.
Yes.
We're going to Ms. Tetzlaff's class, and she is an outstanding teacher with some outstanding students. So welcome to Ms. Tetzlaff's class.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Hi.
They work on a variety of things. So each classroom has a teacher and 2 paraprofessionals that are working anything from academics to stuff that they may need to be successful in life. So it really is a great program.
You know, walking into that classroom and seeing how organized everything was, your students were just highly engaged in their activities in that classroom.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things is it's predictable for them. They have those procedures down and routines, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
But my staff is wonderful, and they make it look easy, and it helps our students. And that's really what Fruitville is doing everything we can do each and every day to help our students be successful.
Yes. Well, that's the Fruitville Elementary Pirates, and you can see they have fantastic programs here and teachers and students who are highly engaged. Everybody's just doing a great job. So thank you again, and we will see you soon.
So as you can see, Dr. Asplund does a terrific job, but it also gives our parents, our teachers, our school board members, our administrators a look into every school where they might not be able to get to it all the time. So again, I thought it'd be good to share that with you. As we move on, I want to talk about the secondary school showcase brochures. I put a couple on each one of your desks up there along with our district map. So what we've done is we've taken our 16 middle school and high schools along with Steve Cantees and made these brochures once again this year, even though we don't have the STC fair that we usually have. And we thought about it, well, we should probably still do these because otherwise people wouldn't know anything about the schools other than these videos we're putting up. So we made several thousand copies of these and passed them out to the schools. They've been distributed within the community and at their front desks. This is one here. I gave you all like 3 to look at out of the 16. Here's one from Macintosh. They're front and back. They're kind of glossy magazine-like, and it's kind of to help us compete a little bit in the marketplace, if we would, for students, so that parents see that, oh my goodness, I didn't know we had this. Especially when they can't go face-to-face or even come into the school to see what's happening in the school. And then, of course, so one for each high school and one for all the middle schools. It became so popular this year that I thought that next year, coming up here in this fall season, we're going to do these for all of our schools so that all the elementary schools have these as well. And as a matter of fact, I'm meeting with Mr. Renoff next week to discuss it and how we get his principals on board and be able to do this too. So all that leads us up into the school showcase. So Jody asked me to talk a little bit about the school showcase. So the window is open now. It started February 1st, and it's going to take us through March 1st. The complete list of the schools open to the school showcase are available to view and download on our website, and all of these are on that website as well. All of these brochures. The controlled open enrollment assignments will be determined by a random lottery process this year. It's not first come, first serve. So once the window closes, they'll go in and randomly select the kids that go in there, and all that will be done by April. So that kind of concludes my presentation today for you all. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them or find someone else who can. Mike? Microphone? Yes, ma'am.
I noticed the book you gave us is new and updated with Dr. Asplund. I need to check the ones I've got in my trunk to make sure that I'm giving out the newest ones.
If you need some, I have plenty in my office.
Well, you know what? I think I got them from your office.
Yes, ma'am.
Last week when I went out, but I didn't realize they were new and updated. I'll get rid of those old ones I had.
We changed this one, and we also updated the middle information to make it a little bit more factual based. So if you open up the map, you'll also see more of a description of things we're doing other than, pictures and things of that nature.
Well, thank you for being on top of all of that. We have a couple of comments here. Ms. Goodwin?
So Craig, how long have you been here now? 3 years?
Yeah, just about.
It feels like 3.
I've
right?
been here since May.
Yeah, I know, and we're coming up on your anniversary, but I just want to thank you for all the help that you have been. You came right in at the middle of a lot of things happening. We were choosing a superintendent. A lot of things were going on, a lot of moving pieces and parts, and you rolled your sleeves up and went right to work, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you personally for your wonderful group of staff that works over at the television station that have been so gracious and kind to me this year to help me with some video clips when I had to do Zoom calls and conferences online that I had to do pre-recorded things for, and they have just been absolutely, John and the staff have just been wonderful to me, so thank you for that as well. And I just really appreciate all the things that you're doing, and I hope that, before long you can take a breath and sort of start to work at a normal pace. I know you've really been working hard, but it doesn't go unnoticed, and thank you, and thank everybody that works for you, please.
Thank you very much. Like you said, it's the staff that makes these things happen. I just kind of go along for the ride with Dr. Asplin on these, but they work really hard. They don't watch clocks. They do what needs to be to get done, and it's always A-rate. So I couldn't be more proud of the staff that works for me.
Thank you. Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these. These are great. I think we have to say there's so many amazing things that happen in all of our schools, but speaking as a busy parent, I understand how it's tough to be aware of all of those. Where are we distributing these? I know you explained the digital standpoint, but what about the hard copies?
The hard copies go to the principals, and the principals do mailings. We had one principal that sent out over 1,000 of them in her community to all of her parents and everything. Each principal can do how they see fit. They're recommended to mail them out. They're people, they're sitting on their front desk, they hand them out. I believe they go home and backpack letters if they wanted to. Kind of reassure, part of marketing is reassure you're in the right place, on top of trying to recruit people who are at homeschool or virtual. Like, I believe these videos play a huge role in bringing kids back to school, a huge role. And so will this kind of information that's being spread out to the community.
Well, and I know you mentioned this earlier, because communication, there's so many different mediums, and again, so many people get emails that their inbox is overwhelming sometimes, so the hard copy old school way is great. So I love these, so thank you for all the work you do.
If you'd like more of them, I have them in my
Yes,
office,
please.
and I could give you a few if you wanted to circulate.
Absolutely.
You might want to reach out to the Realtors Associations too, because I know they're always interested in what schools and what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am, that's our plan. We do give packets to realtors. Right now, I have one of my staff members trying to figure out exactly with realtors who lives in their area, where they go to school and where they don't go to school. So I'm working with our planning commission so we can do a little targeted marketing, trying to figure out where we're actually losing children so that we can kind of bring those FTEs back to us.
Why would I try to make a suggestion when you guys are already there? We're going to learn this. You're there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Craig. I really appreciate what you do on a daily basis, and going out on Aspen on the Move all around the district is very, very wonderful to go out with you, and your group does a great job of video and editing. You can see how great the editing was if you could only see what it looked like without the editing. But thank you again, Craig. Really do appreciate it. Okay, to begin the superintendent's report, I did want to introduce our CFO, Mitzi Corcoran, who will talk about a presentation for our 2019-2020 financial audit.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So every year we have our auditors come and give a presentation with regard to how well we did on our annual financial audit. So I'd like to introduce Tara Prakash and John Gilberto. John is a partner with Cherry Beckert, and Tara is our go-to point person. But before I turn it over to them, like Craig said, it's all about your staff. So we have received the honor of a distinction of Certificate of Achievement and Excellence in Financial Reporting for 15 or 16 years in a row. That wouldn't be possible without the wonderful staff that I have, and most importantly to Valerie Maggi. So she's soon to be your new Director of Finance, and she just does an amazing job, and I'm sure Tara will sing her praises as well. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. So as we're getting our presentation up, I just want to remind you that this is your CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. It's not ours as your auditors, and it's not management's. This is yours. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over the results of our audit to make sure that you're comfortable with your audit report. Is our presentation up? Nope. Okay. We had a short presentation, which I will start. Did you not have it? Did you guys pass it out? Okay. Okay. All right. So we have completed the audit, and we've issued your opinion on your financial statements from the June 30th, 2020 audit in December 14th, 2020. The results of our audit we'll go through, and the different reports we're going to go through in just a minute. But I want to thank the staff. As Mitzi said, this year was a little different than any other years. We did almost 99% of the audit virtually. We're not on site. None of our audit procedures changed. We saw everything we needed to see. We saw every supporting document. As you know, as your auditors, we ask a lot of questions, and we just don't take their answers. We need to see supporting documentation. Was it on there? And they did a great job of making sure that everything was provided and given to us so we can be here today and be giving you an unmodified opinion. Thank you very much. Perfect. So in your financial statements, it's not just the school board. It also includes two other things, two other legal entities. The first one is the Financing Corporation of the School Board of Sarasota County. This is a separate legal entity that was used for financing in the past and can be used again in the future. It is a blended component unit. So all intents and purposes, it is part of your audit and is just blended into your regular numbers. The other part that goes into here under GAAP, the accounting standards, is the charter schools. Now the charter schools are all separately legal too, but they're not defined under GAAP as a blended component unit as part of the entity. They're discretely presented, so you'll see a separate column in your financial statements for the component units. Those are audited by other auditors, not by us. We rely on their work and we refer to their work in our opinion. So here are the standards that we do follow to make sure that you are in compliance with everything you need to do on a financial level, on an audit level, at a state level, and a federal level. There are several different standards that we follow. There are two GASs. One is the auditing standards for generally accepted in the United States of America, and the other is the governmental auditing standards. Those auditing standards require us to look at the internal controls to make sure that they are working, but we don't opine on them. We look at those, we test those, and we make sure that we have an understanding to determine what other audit procedures we need to do along the way. Then we also have, for your federal and your state grants, there are two sections. The federal guidance is the Uniform Grant Guidance, and then in the state of Florida, it is Chapter 10-800 of the Rules of the Auditor General. Those make us look at the major programs that we select and make sure that you're spending those monies on the right compliance requirements and you're meeting all of the compliance requirements of those grants. And Terry's going to go over the results of that in just a minute. And then lastly, we also have to follow Section 218, 415 of the Florida statutes. That makes sure that your financial investing policy is being followed and you're meeting everything as it relates to that. So what does all that mean in our report and our opinions? The first one is under the GAS, the auditing standards, we've issued an unmodified opinion. That means your financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the accounting standards on a consistent basis. Under the other GAS, the general auditing standards, governmental auditing standards, there are two pieces in there. There's one on internal controls that is a no comment. That means we had nothing that rose to the level of material weakness or significant deficiency in material controls that we have to report to you today. Good news. The other one is on compliance with laws, regulations, grant agreements, contracts. We had no non-material non-compliance that, again, we have to report to you today. Again, clean report. On the single audit report, the UGG report, that is also broken into two pieces. There's internal controls over compliance, which was a no comment report. Nothing rose to our attention on the test of programs that we looked at for your major programs that you were out of compliance on that we need to report to you today. And then on the compliance piece of that, the compliance with the grant spending, that is an unmodified report. Again, everything we saw was met within the standards, and we were able to issue an opinion on that. And then lastly, on the state statutes, that is an examination, and that's an unmodified opinion also. It says that you're meeting your investment policies within the state of Florida, and we didn't notice anything there that they just changed our opinion. So again, all clean audit reports from us. The only thing you'd want to hear from us today. So significant accounting policies. This is that gap, the general accepted accounting principles that you have to follow to make sure that you are in accordance with everybody else in the United States. They are all listed in footnote 1 in your financial statements. There, they'll tell you on your major revenue recognition, your expense attesting, how you measure and you value your assets, your liabilities, and how you record them and when you record them. So anything you want to know about the details of how something is valued or measured is in footnote 1 for the material accounts. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tara to go through a little bit more on the results of our audit.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first thing I want to start out with saying is we were able to perform our audit according to the planned scope and timing, as we've previously said in our engagement letter. This is a big deal because given all the circumstances that happened this year, we did not have to change our scope because we were given all the required information and were able to work through everything as planned. Before we got our engagement letter, we went through the significant issues with management, and that's just a normal part of our procedures. And as you are all well aware, COVID-19 had a significant impact during this year. Just to highlight some high-level changes, the school board obviously closed for the last quarter of fiscal year 20, which resulted in some changes to your financial statements. For one thing, there was lower revenue in child nutrition as the school was not providing food services to the students, which also resulted in lower expenses as well. And another thing was that capital outlay was reduced at this time. Your financial statements are not just black and white. There are a lot of management judgments and accounting estimates that are relevant to producing these financial statements. Your management team has the adequate knowledge to create these financial statements, and I want to highlight some of the most sensitive estimates that are involved in your financial statements. To begin with, there's the useful lives of property and equipment, which is based on the estimate of how long those assets would have lives. There's also the management estimate of liabilities for insurance and estimates for pension and post-employment benefits, which are all based on actuarial estimates, which are using inputs from your management. During the course of our audit, we analyzed those inputs and also the assumptions used by the actuary, and we were able to get enough comfort that these are materially correct. As John previously stated, we would normally have this slide to discuss any corrected or uncorrected misstatements. However, in the current year, there were none. Additionally, we had no disagreements or difficulties with management. As Mitzi has said, I've had the pleasure of working with Valerie the past few years and her team, and they've been really helpful, and they work with us, they have great communication, and provide us everything timely so that we can complete our audit in the time frame that we have discussed. This next part is about consultations with other accountants. This is important if the management uses another accountant. However, in the current year, there were none to our knowledge. In our audit, we also received a representation letter from management, and we have issued the management letter as required by rules of the Florida Auditor General, and issued a report on compliance with local government investment policies. As John has previously stated, these were both no comment letters. Finally, on our audit, we do not actually opine on the supplementary information within your CAFR. This is both the introductory information as well as the statistical sections. We do review this information and read through it. However, we do not present an opinion on those. And as part of our audit, we also performed single audits. As John mentioned, we have unmodified reports issued under uniform guidance, and the district was considered a low-risk auditee. This is a really big deal. It's good for you all. It means that you've been able to have no issues in the past few years and have provided your reports timely. In the current year, we tested one major program, which was the Title I grants, and we had no reportable deficiencies that were identified in the current year.
Thanks, Tara. And lastly, as we looked at it and as we go through those accounting pronouncements and we look at how management does adopt them, and the good news was your financial statements are pretty much apples to last year because there were no new accounting pronouncements. The GASB, that's the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, who writes all of the accounting for governments, such as the school district, did a postponement of all the new GASBs that are coming into play. So there's a new one coming into play next year now for the fiduciary funds, where we'll have to take a really close look at how you account for your charter schools and the student activity funds. And then coming in after that, you have the leases, where any operating lease will no longer really exist. Everything will be a rightful use asset and a liability on your financial statements. So GASB was smart enough to postpone those and give everybody another year because of what was happening in the environment. As it relates to fraud and illegal acts, we do not audit for fraud. No auditor does during their financial statement audit. However, we do inquire and ask at different levels throughout the organization. Nothing was raised or brought to our attention that made us change the scope of the audit. And during our procedures, we did not know anything that we needed to bring to you. If we had noted something, we would have brought it to you a lot earlier. And lastly, as it relates to independence and objectivity, Sherry Beckard, our staff, and all of our firm is independent not only in fact, but in appearance as it relates to this audit. So with that, we will be happy to take any questions that you have. Our contact information is on the last page, so usually right when we walk out the door, you'll think of a question. You can reach us at any time during the year. We serve at your pleasure throughout the year. And next year, you won't be seeing us. I think it goes back to the Auditor General, so you'll be seeing them next year as a rotation in the auditing practice.
Members, do we have any questions? Well, we're just pleased to sponge that everything looks great. And we appreciate your comprehensive analysis. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Susie DeBose. Where's Susie? There she is. Come on up, Susie. And if Aaron could come up, Aaron Singerman, Valletta Clark, Tamika Hannon, Sally Frank, Raina Bonner, Brian Hirsch. Yeah, I just wanted to thank these folks. As you know, on a daily basis, we are quarantining. And we have quarantined over 9,000 students this year, and 679, I think, adults this year have been quarantined. And when we talked earlier about teaching and learning and trying to keep students and teachers in the classroom, Susie really, really tries to do that, but also works within CDC guidelines and works closely with the Department of Health to make sure that those who are quarantined are quarantined appropriately. And this team works with Susie and Jody Dumas's office, and they do such a fantastic job. And I just wanted to recognize you today for all the work that you do. Now, the other part is all we're talking about right now is COVID, but you do realize that if COVID was not here, they would still be working a lot just in the clinic. So I know you lead the nurses throughout our school district, and I appreciate all that you do on a daily basis. The amount of work that you do for our students and our teachers, keeping all that going appropriately. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you really helping us with all of the quarantining. So thank you. I know you wanted to say a couple of things too.
Yeah, if I may, please. I'll never pass up an opportunity for you guys, come over here with me. It's cliche. There's no, is it on?
Yes.
There's no I in team. So I promise I won't let like Academy Award music come on and you'll have to drag me away. But if it's okay, I'd like to share some of the appreciation for multiple people throughout the district, starting with this team. This team saw every isolation, positive contact, or quarantine case in the district. Every single one of them gets the same smart sheet I get. They keep me straight, actually, because it gets overwhelming. And you are correct. They also have a regular day job that they have been successful in despite all this extra effort. So if I may, Erin Singerman, kind of the co-team lead with me, our district employee wellness coordinator. Valita came on shortly afterwards. She's our risk management compliance analyst. Tamika Hannon, facilities, let me get this right, data and business process manager. New position for her, well-deserving. Where am I? Sally Frank is our supervisor of record retention. You know, we're trying to go to electronic records right now, amongst other things that she does. Sally keeps us straight in the forms area. I'm a little afraid of her, actually. So she's great at her job. Sharena Bonner is our administrative assistant, executive administrative assistant to our COO, Jody Dumas. That's a yes. She's a busy gal. We'll talk about him in a minute. And Brian Hirsch, last but not least, you know, is our program director for Any Given Child. We as a team would like to thank, I want to thank them profusely, but we would like to thank our superintendent and all of you for the policies, procedures, education, the efforts that you provided to the entire district and our community when the pandemic hit. Jody, our COO, worked closely with you on those policies and procedures, and then he helped us all implement those in the district. All of our executive leadership. I remember over the summer, Dr. Kingsley, Mr. Renoff, Mr. Cantis, my boss, Sonia Figueredo-Alberts, who has been a huge support to me personally, working diligently to figure out how do we get the kids back to brick and mortar? How do we do this safely within these guidelines? And when we're talking about brick and mortar, what about our school sites? Our principals and the administrative professionals are not only trying to support the teachers and the classified staff that are trying to educate and provide those support services, but they're also contact tracing and getting seating charts and working with transportation on bus routes. And it's a lot at the school site. It's a lot, and they have done it since August 31st. Fabulous. From school sites to district sites, facilities, cleaning, providing, educating. I could go down the list, all down the list. You know who? George Goodfellow, we needed to, and James Ferrara, IT, database gurus. You have a beautiful dashboard out there where you got those numbers. We've got an external one and we've got an internal one that's got health protected information so that the schools can figure out who's out, when do they come back. This is the third time a student has been quarantined, golly forbid. What date are we on now? Don't want to forget anyone. I hear the music coming. I feel it. Department of Health. You've seen Department of Health staff in our board meetings. We talked to Chuck Henry and Michael Drennan, Christina Ferracci. We could not do this without them. If we didn't have their support and their guidance, we would be doing it. And we're educators. We're not public health experts. So that partnership is extremely valuable. And one last time, I'd like to go back to the team because really seriously, we appreciate the fact that you're appreciative of our efforts. But again, no I in team. It's everybody. It's everybody that's here. And I talk too much. Do you want to get on, say anything before the music hits? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to keep it up till we don't have to.
Ms. Goodwin, before you go, Susie, before you go, Ms. Goodwin?
Well, I want to say thank you to all of you because I know what a big job this is. The parents that get in touch with me about situations are just a few, but I know how impactful these students are and their learning is to the work that you're doing and trying to get things calmed down and keep them safe and keep kids in the classroom. So, it doesn't go unnoticed, and I want to thank you all because it's a big job. It's a big organization that we have here. So this is, 10,000, well, no, it's more than that, isn't it? I'm thinking of staff. It's more like close to 50,000 people probably that you're in charge of when you look at staff and students combined. So I want to say thank you. And I also want to say, not to leave this out, but it's Brian Hirsch's birthday. What? So we want to thank Brian and say he's still having birthdays. We love him. Brian is one of my favorite people in the world. So happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Ziegler?
I'll be brief. I thank you for taking the time to bring them up, because what you just highlighted is so true. And when I look around the country, I am so grateful that we have a team and a great Department of Health that we can work collaboratively with to make sure that we are getting our kids in school so that they can learn, but working safely with staff. And Mr. Dumas, I appreciate all the work you have done. I have to applaud you guys. I know it was, there's just no roadmap at all. And so I know that there were long, long hours. And even still to this date, when families reach out, there's a very quick response back from the team to answer the questions. And I just really appreciate the grace and all the work you guys have done. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to thank you, too, and for the work that you did for us when you were getting our teachers and staff over 65. You guys handled that so well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, wait. We've got one more person that wants to talk. Jack?
I was also wanting to say thank you as well, just as a student myself, just knowing just how much of an impact you guys make within our schools. I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And I think we have Michael Drennan on the line. I didn't know if you all had any questions that you wanted to ask, but he's on the line to talk with us if you'd like. Michael, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
How are you doing, Michael?
I'm good. How are you today?
Great, great. We might have a couple questions about vaccinations for you, and I'm sure it won't be too long for you.
Well,
does anyone have
my question is, I know you've got a list, from 1 to, 75, 95, 125,000. Isn't there any way that you can, when you're setting up an office or a site down in South County, that you prioritize those in those zip codes? Why are we having people from, Northport having to drive up to North County? And then now, if you're going to be opening one down in Venice, we're going to have people from North County driving down there. Why can't you prioritize by zip code? If they're going to be putting spaces in certain locations to reach those people, then why aren't we reaching out to those people in those locations?
I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, because I do have a little understanding and some understanding about how we do the vaccines, exactly how we schedule that process. I'm not probably the best person to answer. I know that we've worked to streamline it and make it better. But why we don't prioritize, I don't know that I can answer that question.
I would appreciate it if maybe you'd take that question up, because when we register, you ask us our zip code. You know our zip codes, so I would like you to perhaps see if there's any way you could prioritize that by zip code in the future at some of these, especially when you're opening them in certain areas. Bridget Ziegler has something.
Mr. Drennan, thank you again for being available. Can you just give us a quick status update as far as positivity rate, hospitalizations, and just a quick overview for the listening public?
Of course. So we obviously, we've been experiencing an increase since the holidays, but actually over about the last 14 days, we started to see a decrease in almost all the values that we look at. Number of daily reported cases. So our 14-day average now is right around 75 cases a day. And our peak going back to just the middle of January was just over 200 cases a day. So those have started to come down, as has our percent positivity. Both of those are encouraging signs to see. We want them to continue to move in that direction. Still a lot of virus out there. Also, as you mentioned, one of the big things we look for is hospitalizations, and we're starting to see a decrease in those as well. We see a lag in them increasing as we see cases increase, and we also see a lag in them decreasing. So taking a little bit longer once we transition to fewer cases in the community overall. But fewer people in the hospital with COVID, also fewer people in the ICU with COVID. So those are all encouraging signs.
Thank you. Do you have what our positivity rate is for the last 14 days for the county in front of you?
I do. So for Sarasota, our percent positivity for the last 14 days is 3.63. And its highest recently was right at 8% on January 14th. So a little over half of what we were about a month and a half ago, or just a month ago.
Thank you so much.
That's good news. Thank you. Where else besides the county are shots being given in Sarasota County? I understand Publix is now in Sarasota.
My understanding is that Publix, some of the Publix, not all of them, and then I believe there's a Winn-Dixie as well that's also offering vaccine now as well. I know they use a different registration process than we do at the health department, and I am not entirely familiar with how that process works because I know some people were getting appointments in other parts of the state. I don't know if they've cleaned that up to keep appointments just locally.
From experience, I know Publix, when they have, if Publix has 2,200 shots, they take 2,200 names and then shut the registration down. I'm not sure what Winn-Dixie is. I didn't get on that one. But so far, those are the only other two that you know of that will be offering shots in Sarasota, because they're looking at Walmart and some of those others, but you don't now have access to those?
I don't. I know there's discussions about adding Walmart and some of the other pharmacies, but I don't believe they've come online yet. I believe it's just the Publix and Winn-Dixies right now.
At our last meeting, a gentleman asked about, why are we requiring masks for elementary school students? Do you have any comment on that?
Well, the recommendation for masking has to do that everyone is susceptible to this disease, including elementary students. So that not only can they acquire it, they can also transmit it to others, which is one of the primary reasons why we are encouraging and ask people to wear masks. And the value in the school setting is that it's not so much protecting yourself, although there is some protection that's offered. A big component of that is asymptomatic individuals that have it can transmit it to others, and that includes children.
And there's some discussion about masks also reducing the amount of flu this year?
The jury's out on that, but when I look at our flu numbers, which I look at almost every day, it is remarkable the decrease in flu virus that we have right now. It's hard to say right in the middle of what we would consider our flu season, what is the sole contributor to that, if it's any single thing. But masking and social distancing are for sure having an impact on the decrease in flu.
Well, I appreciate you coming to us, and not that I don't enjoy you, but boy, I hope you're done by the end of this year, and we don't have to see you again next school year.
I hear you.
Okay.
I will work on an answer about or finding a follow-up for you on the zip codes information as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Michael. We really appreciate all you do for us. The only other thing I want to mention are a couple other things. First of all, Random Acts of Kindness Day is tomorrow. So make sure you're out there doing some random acts of kindness for others. And then also, it's Black History Month right now, and we have highlights from schools as far as the activities that they are doing at their school sites. And we're going to put those on the webpage for everyone to see. So I just wanted to let everyone know that so you can go on the website and take a look. All right, that's it for the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have hearing of citizens. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. I have 3 cards up here. When the timer flashes yellow, well, that's 1 minute remains, and we ask you to summarize and stop when the light turns red. Please note that respect for divergent viewpoints and civility will be shown at every board meeting, and whether you agree or disagree with the speaker, you should listen politely and not make any sounds of disapproval or approval. We're here to listen to you, not debate with you or solve your problems here at the table, but we will listen and discuss them further at another time. And we've also, but I don't think we've been receiving emails from the board at this time, just those that come to the board in general. First up, we have Michael, is that Conte? Conte, C-O-N-T-E, okay. Come to the podium, please.
So I'm Michael Conte, and I was reading, just doing some research online, and I noticed a story by Jessica Ward. It was published December 9th, 2020. It talked about a 2019 investigation by the Office of Inspector General, and it revealed the Sarasota County School District had falsified records and wrongfully placed several students in special needs programs. So my question to the board is, who falsified the records? How many people were involved in this action? And who was fired? That's it. Do I sit down? Did you answer, or just leave it there?
Just leave it there.
John Wilson.
Good afternoon. So I went ahead and swung by over to the Landings building. I got a copy of your guys' oath that you take in office. It's pretty thin. But what I do want to point out is Florida Statute 9252, which is your affirmation to admit, so help me God. With that being said, I'd like to address, none of the parents have been able to go onto the school grounds. And with this, I'm finding out there's quite a bit of Black Lives Matter propaganda in every school, just about every school. The administrators are allowing it, guidance counselors are allowing it, teachers are allowing it. And it's being displayed. What I'd like to address is, what about the kids that don't feel the same way about Black Lives Matter? You know, I'm sure that they feel like they're being coerced or some peer pressure, or they can't go to their, I know one guidance counselor that has a pile of propaganda on her desk. You think the kids that disagree with that are going to go to her desk, go and talk to her about it?
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Could I maybe ask you to either remove your hat or turn it? It seems to have an offensive, thank you.
Are you crediting me my time?
Keep going.
Okay. So the counselors can't go and talk to these people in charge. Either they're afraid, or they're not going to go talk to authority figure at all. And I feel like that their rights are being compromised for other people's rights. And then I also know parents that are getting teachers are harassing the kids over mask exemptions. So I have a copy of the Principles of Professional Conduct in Education, 6-10.081. Florida educators shall be guided. The educator values the worth and dignity of every person pursuant to the truth, devotion, excellence, knowledge, and nurture of democratic citizenship. Let's go over here to this other one. Obligation to the student that requires the individual shall make reasonable effort to protect the student from conditions harmful to learning and or the student's mental or physical health or safety. Number 4, shall not intentionally suppress or distort subject matter reliant to the student's academic program. Shall not intentionally expose a student unnecessarily embarrassment or disparagement. Shall not harass, discriminate against any student based on race, color, religion, sex, national, ethnic, origin, political beliefs, marital status, handicap, any of these things. This is all that should be from the educator to the student. The other one, shall take responsible precautions to distinguish between personal views and knows any educator or institution or organization with the individual affiliated. You know, it sounds like I have a little bit of time left. Okay.
Go ahead.
All these are personal views. If they have BLM propaganda hanging on their walls, on their desks, or anything else, the students are not feeling safe that don't believe in these things. So we need to look out for all the students' rights, every single one of them, every student's rights that's out there. Because if you look at the pamphlet for misconduct, you'll see that it's your job to turn these people in, and I think you need to cover the rights of every student, not just the few. You know, I think every student needs to be covered, every single one, and they haven't been. And after what I read on this paperwork, students' rights have been trampled on for the last couple of years.
Thank you. Ashley Cote.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up from the last meeting. I sent you guys some of the threats, and I wanted to thank all of you for reaching out. My son's school got right on top of it, and now his account and stuff is being monitored. So unfortunately, you know, we live in a society for cancel culture, I guess. So if you disagree with somebody, let's just try to figure out how to threaten them or silence them. I was listening earlier, and actually I did want to say one thing. His hat offended, right? So, but you were able to say, turn your hat around or take your hat off. BLM offends me. BLM offends my kid. So how do we get through this dialect of coming together? And again, with the committee, I think it's going to be great. But I'm just saying, you know, we all have different points of views. That might not have offended him, but it offends you, and vice versa. So I think having an open mindset is going to be the best thing moving forward. With the budget, there was the 1.6 million deficit for the food and nutrition, which is kind of shocking, especially since there's supposed to be free meals. So is that funding, I was trying to listen to if you're getting that funding back or not. You're down, I believe it was 1,400 students. Have you guys anticipated your deficit for next year? Because I have a feeling you're going to have quite a few, especially with the masks still being in place, enforced, especially with the younger schools, with the elementary schools, with the younger students, because I know it's harder for K through third grade to figure things out. And I've asked as well, do you have a mask procedure in place as far as they get X amount of time from the top down from you guys? And I haven't heard anything about that as well. So it's very hard for our elementary students. It is hard when the teachers won't help them change out their masks throughout the day. Some are still forcing them to have them during PE and recess still. It is happening. Not at my son's school. I wanted to say that because his principal reached out to me after last meeting, and they have been great. But I have I have nephews in school and friends that are in school, and they're having these issues. So at a top down, it seems like it's the principal who's making these rules or guidelines. And so hopefully all your principals are on the same page, if that's all. So, and I just wanted to say thank you for the ones who reached out about the threats.
Thank you. And to clear, if a parent has a concern, the first place they should go is to the school's administrations and work with them. And as Ashley said, that can often be taken care of. We can't deal with generalities, but specific instances should be taken up with the administration at the school and work their way up. And if not, you can come to the meeting. But the first place is always the administration at the school if you see a student's rights being violated. Thank you. It brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any additions or corrections?
Yes, ma'am. The following items were added after the agenda was published. Item number 9, the instructional classified personnel report.
I move for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
No, we're voting online.
I have to get off to
You
my
got to get
computer. I'm
off. You're
sorry.
You're on the wrong page. Motion carries.
And so it passes. I'm getting my new glasses last week. I would assume that was 5-0. And new business?
New business, Mr. Cantis, if you come forward for this first item. Item number 22, this is that the agreement between Florida Prepaid and the School Board of Sarasota County be approved. And Steve will explain that. You got to pick it up and put it close.
Closer? Is that better?
Better.
Thank you. Okay. So I am excited about this contract and agreement that you're going to vote on today. The Florida Prepaid, as everyone's aware, provides opportunities for families to invest in a scholarship program. It's called a 529 college savings plan for their children, and over a period of time, as parents invest in this program, they will be able to provide college funding for their child. So if you look at the actual contract or the verbiage in here, it says the contract will allow Florida Prepaid to provide $4,000 for Florida 529 savings scholarships for the superintendent to award eligible students in the Sarasota School District. The district will award 4 $1,000 529 saving scholarships to 2 elementary students and to 2 secondary students. So that's exciting to have this opportunity. In the contract, the actual contract that you're voting on today, there's some deliverables that we have to provide. And those deliverables are that we will promote the Florida Prepaid. You can read them there. I'm not going to go through all of them. But we'll promote the Florida Prepaid scholarship, which is a great opportunity for our families to learn about the scholarship or the 529 savings scholarship. And so we will be promoting that in a number of ways across the district. As a matter of fact, we've already posted it on our district website. You can go to the district website on the front page, and if you go to open enrollment, you'll see the actual 529 savings plan there. So we already have that going. So at the conclusion of this, we will create criteria once you all vote affirmative on this contract. We will create criteria for the 4 students or for 4 student scholarships and how those will be selected, how those students will be selected. So for me, I'll just give you a personal experience. Most of you know my daughter Lindsay. She worked for the district for a while. When Lindsay started in kindergarten here in Florida, we actually opened up a Florida Prepaid scholarship. Probably the best thing I ever did, as a matter of fact. We actually did the textbooks, we did the room and board, and we did tuition. And so at the conclusion of her high school career, along with the scholarship she took after her mother, she's very bright. So at the conclusion of her high school career, she had her entire 4 years of college at UCF paid for, and that's not cheap. You know what college is like. So she ended college with no debt, which we were pretty excited about. And so I will say for parents out there, what a great opportunity. So make sure that we have links on our website to the Florida Prepaid, and you can go to the Florida Prepaid and learn what it's all about. But I would encourage parents to seriously consider this as an option to pay for their children's college. Okay, so you'll be voting on that today.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin.
Well, I think that our promoting that is a really important thing for parents. I happen to have bought 2 of those for my grandchildren, so I'm just about finished with the second one, and I'll smile really well. But it's a really great plan. Our state plan, our 529, is a really great plan. Mm-hmm. And as you said, Steve, you can virtually go to college, and then if you have bright futures, and it's a really great winning thing for very little money. And I think I took those out when my grandchildren were like months old, and it was really inexpensive back 20 years ago. But it's been adjusted and come down in cost recently. But I think this is a great motivating factor. And as I say, I worked with Florida Prepaid when I was working for the Sarasota Y, and a lot of our members didn't know anything about it, so we were always promoting it among our programs at the Y when the Y was a very big deal in town. And so I think it's something that everybody should know about and doesn't. So I think it's a great secret. So my hat goes off to you and to whomever came up with this, because we really should promote it. It's a great program.
Yes, thank you. I had it for my 2 kids and for my 3 grandchildren, and one of them was already cashed hers in.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. And members, we normally, if we're going to have new business, we have workshops in front of these. These things were pulled from our consent agenda because we well, hope you'll all vote for them, but that we wanted to also just not put them through the consent, but explain to you some of those things that are on it, not only to you members, but also to the public. So no, we didn't discuss this on a workshop. These are things that we pulled from consent agenda to new business to make the public more aware of it and to give the board members a little more information on it. And with no more comments, we will vote.
Need a motion?
Need a motion.
I move that the agreement between Florida Prepaid and the School Board of Sarasota County, Florida be approved.
Second.
And so it passes 5-0.
All right, item number 23. Do you want to do a motion first, and then we can discuss?
Can someone make a motion?
I move for approval of the addendum to the agreement between the Community Rehab Associates Incorporated and the School Board of Sarasota County, Florida.
Okay, Sonia Figueredo Alberts will discuss this one.
Yes, good afternoon. This is a great partnership that we have with agencies, and they are a recruitment agency and provide supports in the areas of speech and language pathologists, occupational therapy, or physical therapy when any of our school board employees take a leave. We're able to call Kelly McDowell, shout out to her. She's very responsive to our needs and is able to assist us with replacing staff that is on leave to provide the services needed for our students with disabilities.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion? Well, we appreciate you going out there. Now, this is because we don't have all the employees in place, so we've had to go out and get contract employees for the special services.
Correct. It's a recruitment agency. Anytime our specialist staff goes on leave, we need to replace those services for our students with disability. So we reach out to them.
And we appreciate you. Thank you. And again, that passes 5-0. Item 24.
Motion.
I move for approval of the early admission dual enrollment articulation agreement between the University of South Florida and the School Board of Sarasota County as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Catherine Kokosa will describe this one.
Penny and I are pleased to be standing here today to request your unanimous support in expanding access and options for students who are interested in dual enrollment acceleration. The University of South Florida Sarasota Manatee has presented an early admission dual enrollment articulation agreement that will be in addition to the dual enrollment agreement already in place. The new agreement will offer eligible students who have completed their junior year or the equivalent an option to enroll full-time at USF while earning credit towards completing their high school graduation requirements. Penny will be providing specifics about the admission criteria as well as next steps for students and families interested in exploring this option.
Eligibility requirements. The student will have completed their junior year, have a 3.8 or higher GPA as calculated by University of South Florida, have a minimum SAT score of 1,300 or higher, with a minimum 580 in critical reading and a minimum 530 in math, or an SAT composite of 29 with no less than a score of 29 in English, a USF application, a letter outlining reasons for seeking early admission, the approval form with documents, and the deadline will be March 15th for the 21-22 school year.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Again, because of past interest in this issue and to the public, we decided to bring this forward. Ms. Goodwin?
Well, I think this is a wonderful idea. And, I've never been really fond of dual enrollment at Pineview, but other than that, I think it's the greatest program in the world because it gets children or students who are able to go forward and to have that associate's degree, if possible, when they graduate from high school, which saves a lot of money and a lot of time for those students who are so have the ability to do so. So I think it's a great program, and I'm glad to see us doing this. And that gives them a full year at USF, correct? Their senior year, which I think is wonderful, helps them to assimilate, matriculate, and assimilate into the college unit itself. So I think this is a great win-win for everybody.
It also guarantees their admission to USF.
Yes, that too. It's great.
Thank you for your work, ladies. Members, you can vote. And as expected, that passes 5-0. Our next board work session will be Tuesday, March 2nd. We don't have the agenda or the time yet, and the board meeting will be March 2nd at 6 p.m. Are there any comments or questions from the board at this time? With that, we adjourn. Thank you.